As the Nitrous guy too, right? I'm a everything. I love power appers regardless, right? But I like naturally aspirated stuff. I'm a pro stock fan to the core. Like, I love naturally aspirated power too. But dude, I mean, Nitrous has become so commonplace in the big money bracket racing world. And now superchargers and everything else, that really, it took a long time for them to get as popular. Like, Pro Charger's a big combo now.
It is. That's just come a long way. And for me, like the nitrous side of it was always more of a race manipulation tool. It was something that you could utilize when you're late or when you feel the car spin or change the look of the race or something like that. And honestly, I feel like, I don't want to take credit. Like, there was a handful of racers that were a little bit ahead of the game in that regard. And I almost feel like it's getting away from that now, specifically in 8th mile bracket racing, just because the game is so freaking precise that the more tools you give yourself to change the dynamics of the race, like, it just makes your job harder. You know what I mean? Like, I know that nitrous is still a common thing. I just don't personally think it's as useful in my racing today as it was maybe 10 years ago.
So, we were just talking about like I said, the super gas and super comp cars that are going so fast now. I understand the physics behind it. I get the reasoning. I get the thought process. I just don't like it. Like, it feels wrong for me. I earlier we were talking about the 990, super gas cars versus 960 index cars. And the difference being that the 960 index cars have to use a mechanical throttle stop, right? And those guys still consider that to be heads-up racing, even though it's the same thing. But you're taking a 990 car that, as Kyle said, could probably run 750s, and you're slowing it down that far. That part just doesn't feel good to me. Like, I understand it from a logical perspective, but in my heart of hearts for drag racing, I just don't like it that much. But is there a way to ever go back? I mean, is that even possible, given the way that this entire world has sort of morphed?
I don't know that there is. And to your point, I think that there's a loss of spectator appeal, which I think is ultimately where you're going. But I think the biggest detriment from a competition standpoint is we have just successfully driven the maybe not the necessary cost, but the seeming cost of competition through the roof. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily need a 170 mile an hour super gas car to be competitive, but the feeling is that it's an advantage to have a 170 mile an hour super gas car, especially when that's what, a significant percentage of the field is doing. So to that end, and I think that that's infiltrated not just the NHRA ranks, not just super comp, super gas, obviously stock and super stock, but into the bracket ranks. Like, I feel like we've allowed, and maybe it's a byproduct of technology that you can't take back, or you can't necessarily have done any different way. But I do feel like we've allowed the cost of our sport to escalate to the point that I'm not sure it's healthy.
I think that's with every form of racing.
I agree, Barrett. Sure. It is. It's gone in every form, but it's sort of more expected if you're running at something like Radial versus the World or Pro Mod or Pro Stock or what have you.
True.
But what's interesting is those are the classes that sanctioning bodies always change rules on in order to lower budgets, right? When, quite frankly, I don't give a shit if Don Schumacher spends $1 million or $5 million. That dude's got it to blow. But I do care about my neighbor down the street being able to afford to get his back half Nova out and go run super gas at an event with Kyle, right?
Yeah.
That I do care about.